Before we start, comment down below. Tell me which character you would want to be, and let's get right into the story. The journey through the shifting sands had been fraught with challenges. Now, however, stood before them a doorway framed by swirling purple light, pulsing with energy that hummed against their very souls. It was clear this was their final test, the culmination of their trials in the desert. Yet as Zayan reached out to touch it, a sense of foreboding washed over him. Alina, her face etched with determination, placed a hand on his arm. "Whatever lies beyond this door is our last challenge," she said, her voice echoing with quiet strength. "Are you ready, Zayan?" Her sapphire eyes, usually sparkling with mirth, were now solemn, reflecting the gravity of their situation. He turned to her, meeting her gaze with a nod. Beside them, Prince Rayaan, his features stoic, tightened the grip on his staff. "We've come too far to turn back now," he stated, his voice resonating with quiet authority. The prince's golden eyes, usually twinkling with mischief, were now focused, reflecting the intensity of the moment. They had journeyed across the perilous shifting sands, facing treacherous dunes and mythical creatures, all to reach this point. Before them lay their final challenge, the key to unsealing the legendary oasis of whispers. The trio stepped through the shimmering threshold, finding themselves transported to a vast ancient hall that seemed to stretch into eternity. Glowing symbols adorned the walls, twisting and turning as if alive, weaving a mesmerizing display of arcane energy. The air crackled with anticipation, heavy with the weight of ages. It was as though the very stones whispered secrets from a bygone era. A sudden blast of wind, icy cold, rushed through the chamber, stirring not just the air, but their spirits. Whispers, faint yet clear, echoed around them, carrying fragments of stories from times long past. Alina shuddered, pulling her cloak tighter as goosebumps erupted on her arms. "It feels like," she began, her voice hushed with awe, "like the chamber itself is speaking to us." Rayaan nodded, his gaze intense as he scanned the markings on the wall. "This is more than a mere passage," he stated, his voice echoing with reverence. "This is a test of knowledge, a trial of understanding." His fingers danced across the symbols, tracing their intricate patterns as if seeking a hidden melody within the archaic script. Zayan, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward, his boots echoing on the stone floor. He extended a hand, his fingers hovering above one of the glowing symbols. And as he made contact, the world shifted. The ground beneath their feet trembled violently, throwing them off balance. The walls rumbled, responding to some ancient rhythm. In an instant, the chamber transformed, sealing them within its mystical embrace. The air grew heavy with anticipation as the room, once open and echoing, now felt like a tomb, suffocating and silent. The trio found themselves locked in a perpetual twilight, the only illumination emanating from the enigmatic symbols that now covered the walls, twisting and turning as if reveling in their captive audience. Then a voice boomed, resonating from the very core of the chamber. Deep, resonant, and timeless, it echoed around them, shaking their very beings. "Only those who understand the past," it proclaimed, each word reverberating with power, "may move forward. Speak the forgotten truth, or remain lost forever." The voice fell silent, leaving them in a stillness that was deafening. Alina's eyes widened, reflecting the shifting symbols that danced in the gloom. "It's asking us something," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "But what? What is the forgotten truth?" She looked to Zayan and Rayaan, searching for answers in their faces, finding only determination and confusion mirrored back at them. As if sensing their struggle, the symbols on the wall shifted again, rearranging themselves into new patterns, their glow intensifying, bathing the chamber in an eerie light. Zayan, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "We have no choice," he said, his voice firm, despite the tremor in his hands. "We must solve this riddle, find the forgotten truth. Otherwise, we'll remain trapped here forever." Rayaan, his face etched with concentration, joined them, his fingers tracing the lines of the symbols. "It's history," he murmured, his golden eyes gleaming with insight. "Something buried for centuries, lost to time." He looked at Alina, his expression hopeful. "Perhaps you can help us, Prince. You have a gift for uncovering the past." Alina, her sapphire eyes shining with renewed purpose, nodded. She placed her hands on the wall, her fingers sinking into the cool stone. She closed her eyes, focusing on the whispers of the chamber, reaching out to the echoes of the past. Suddenly, a hidden message began to form beneath her touch, glowing faintly at first, then with increasing brilliance. With a gasp, she opened her eyes, revealing the answer they sought. "I see it," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "The forgotten truth is revealed." As she traced the symbols with her fingers, they glowed brightly, illuminating the chamber in a brilliant light. The walls, once oppressive, now seemed to shimmer with newfound beauty. The whispers, once menacing, now sounded like a gentle breeze rustling through leaves. In the heart of the chamber, the ground split open, revealing a staircase bathed in ethereal light. It beckoned to them, promising a way forward. But before they could take a step, the voice boomed once more, shaking the very foundations of the chamber. "You have proven worthy," it rumbled, its tone now softer, tinged with a hint of reverence. "But your greatest trial is still ahead. The true test of your spirit, your courage, and your bonds lie in what awaits you beyond this step. Are you still willing to proceed?" The voice faded, leaving them in silence. The trio exchanged glances, their expressions resolute. They had faced countless challenges to reach this point, and surrender was not an option. Their journey, fraught with peril and intrigue, had led them here to the precipice of their destiny. With a shared nod, they began their descent down the luminous staircase. Each step bathed them in a soft, otherworldly light, casting dancing shadows that stretched and twisted around their feet. As they descended, the whispering voices grew louder, swirling around them in an intoxicating melody that seemed to both beckon and warn. The air grew colder, sending shivers down their spines. Yet they pressed on, their gazes fixed on the light at the bottom of the stairs. The closer they got, the more distinct the whispers became, forming coherent sentences that hinted at forgotten lore and ancient power. Reaching the end of the staircase, they found themselves in a vast chamber, even more breathtaking than the last. Before them towered a monolithic structure pulsating with a soft, ethereal glow. Its surface rippled like water, reflecting images of their journey, their struggles, and their triumphs. The whispers reached a crescendo, forming a chorus that seemed to emanate from the very core of the monolith. It was as if the spirit of the oasis itself was greeting them, recognizing their perseverance and resilience. But amidst the ethereal beauty, a palpable tension hung in the air, a silent warning that their ordeal was far from over. For at the base of the monolith lay a pool of inky black water, still and unsettling, its surface reflecting the distorted images of their faces, gaunt and haggard, etched with the weariness of their arduous journey. And then, rising from the depths of the pool, tendrils of darkness reached skyward, coiling around the monolithic structure like grasping claws. The whispers turned to gasps, laced with fear and urgency. From the heart of the tendrils, a single eye opened, burning with an infernal light. It fixed on them, boring into their souls, seeming to devour their very essence. As the eye blazed, tendrils shot out, lashing towards them with uncanny speed. Zayan, ever the warrior, reacted instantly, deflecting the tendrils with his sword. The clash of steel on dark tendrils echoed in the vast chamber, sending sparks flying and echoing in the vast chamber. Sparks flew as Zayan parried a lashing tendril, buying precious seconds for his companions, but more kept coming, relentless and cunning, coiling around his limbs, trying to bind him. Rayaan, his face grim, stepped forward, his staff glowing with celestial light. He slammed the staff into the ground, sending bolts of energy arcing toward the tendrils. The touch of his magic withered the darkness, forcing the tendrils to recoil. Yet even as they fought, the eye in the pool pulsed, sending waves of darkness crashing towards them. Alina, realizing the source of the attack, raced to the edge of the pool. She knew she had to act fast. Reaching out, she plunged her hands into the inky water, ignoring the instinctive flinch of pain. As her fingertips touched the bottom, a jolt of energy surged through her, causing her to cry out. With a surge of determination, she pushed her palm against the water, pushing up against an unseen force. As the chamber echoed with the clash of wills, the eye in the pool flared, tendrils lashing out in a final, desperate attack. Zayan, battered but resolute, deflected the tendrils. Buying time for Alina, she drew upon every ounce of strength, focusing on the connection between herself and the ancient oasis. With a final, mighty heave, she forced the lid of the pool upward, releasing a burst of radiant light that washed over the chamber. The light struck the tendrils, causing them to shriek and dissipate into wisps of smoke. The eye in the pool, deprived of its source of power, flickered and died, leaving behind a pool of still water.